Hi, I'm Judy. Welcome to Go with Yin Yoga. Today I have an approximately 40-minute Yin Yoga practice that is going to help you move forward. In October 2022, we've been practicing about letting go of emotions, of grief, of the past. And now that we've done all that and we've created space in our lives, we can move forward. So you're going to need a few props for today's practice. I suggest a couple of blocks, a blanket, and a bolster if you have it. You've probably heard me say this before if you're not new to this channel. Now go ahead and take a comfortable seated position. You could also be laying down if you prefer. And I invite you to close your eyes down if it's comfortable for you. Really feel your body relaxing, letting go of tension, softening your jaw, letting your shoulders melt down, feeling your spine grow very long, moving from your bottom all the way up to the crown of your head, creating more space. And just bring your hands to your belly and simply inhale and exhale. And just feel what your belly does on the inhale. And notice what it does on the exhale. It releases, right? So inhale, exhale, release. And that has very much to do with Yin Yoga, where we come into an edge and maybe back off and wait for time, gravity to do its work, and then perhaps go deeper to the next edge. And you can continue breathing like this. I would like to read you a poem. So today, physically, we're opening our chest. We are opening our upper back, a part we don't get too often. We are strengthening our low back and our inner thighs. And on a more subtle level, we are releasing so that we can move, whether that's just move or move forward in life. And I'd like to read you this poem by Donna Ashworth, and it's called Aging Isn't About Lost Youth. And while you may not think this is not about moving forward, I invite you to listen to the words and see what you really think. Aging isn't about lost youth. It's about finding who your true friends really are. The difference between shiny and worthy. The confidence to be yourself in any room. The time to dedicate to the things that bring you joy. The wisdom to say no to the things that don't. The freedom to choose your own path in life. The courage to be happy in your own skin. The knowledge that very little really truly matters in the end. Aging isn't about lost youth, my friends. No, it is not. I haven't lost a thing, in fact. Except, perhaps, my ability to give a toss about the things that won't matter when I'm gone. And remember, not everyone gets the chance to grow older. It truly is a privilege denied to many. No, aging isn't about lost youth. It's about finding who you were meant to be all along. And I love that last line, finding who you were meant to be all along. It's one of my passions to help people find that. Now let that all go. And if you're laying down, slowly roll to one side and then come to all fours. So tabletop position. I'm going to move into that right now. Shoulders over wrists and hips over knees. And inhale, your right arm reaches up for the sky. trying to open up as much as possible. And then it begins to come underneath that left arm. And your head comes down to the mat. I let go of the past to move forward. And this feels like a little too much. You can take a block and put your head on it. You can try putting a block under the shoulder of the arm that is reaching. In a lot of the postures in this practice, we are going to be reaching. So I want you to think about finding who you were meant to be. And the last couple of breaths. And last breath. Begin to press into that left palm. Bringing your right arm back up and then down. And take a pause in the middle. If there's any differences you might feel from side to side. And of course, we're going to work on our second side. So inhale, left arm reaches up, trying to really open that chest up. On the exhale, begin to reach through underneath that right hand or arm, reaching for who you were meant to be. Last couple of breaths. Last breath. Pushing into the right hand. Reaching up for the heavens with the left. Connecting to divine consciousness. And then coming back into tabletop. And if this has all been a little bit much for your knees, you can always grab that blanket and pad your knees. You can also grab a couple of blocks for our next pose. Melting heart. So we start in the same position that we ended and begin to walk your hands forward. What are you reaching for? What are you finding? You can put your head on a block here. You might want to raise your hands on a couple of blocks. Normally I like to demo with the props, but I personally actually do not like this pose with my hands on blocks. So we're thinking about opening up our heart, as well as tapping into our intuition and reaching forward, moving forward, trying to find our dharma, our purpose in life. And you are also helping to stimulate your immune system here, all the lymph nodes underneath your armpits. And also we are working with our lung and large intestine meridians, as we have been all month long. And working with those two meridians can help to increase your immune system. And as we transition from fall to winter, that is a great thing, my friends. Last couple of breaths. Last breath here. Begin to push into those palms to slowly raise your torso. And then go ahead and bring your hips back to your heels. And releasing yet again. Releasing that low back. And releasing anything, any sensations you might have been feeling in your upper back and your shoulders. Just let go. And pushing into your palms once again, walking your hands back towards your knees. Just come up straight and pause here. And notice what you feel. Maybe you feel a bit more open. Maybe you feel something stirring about your dharma, your purpose in life. I can't overstate how important it is to have a purpose in life, a dharma, and it does not have to be something very large. It does not at all. And I invite you to grab a blanket. I'm going to grab my bolster. The main reason being that my rug is still quite wet from the rain that we've had. Normally I would be on a folded blanket. And you can come up on a bolster as I am. You can also sit up on a block to make this pose comfortable for you. So stretch the legs out to either side of your mat, coming into as wide a straddle as you can. Sometimes that's confusing because this pose is actually called dragonfly. Feel your spine growing very long out of your pelvis, feeling that strength and the stability that is holding you up. And then turn to face your left leg and just begin to come down, trying to keep your head in line with your spine, the neck especially in line with your spine. Of course, the neck is part of your spine. Once again, we are both releasing. We're finding our edge and releasing into it. And we are reaching forward, searching for that dharma. Now let the head go. Let it point down towards the mat, down towards your left thigh. Maybe the chin comes to the chest. See if you can soften up the upper thigh, the hamstring. We are not trying to build muscle here. We are trying to strengthen our connective tissue and keeping us mobile enough to do the things that we love. And slowly begin to raise your head. Walk your hands back up your legs and bring the soles of your feet to the mat. And then just slowly let your knees fall over to one side and then the other. And once again, stretch those legs out into a straddle position, but not engaging muscles. Turn your torso to twist towards your right leg and begin in an upright position with a tall spine. Now I let go of the past to move forward. And then perhaps begin to reach down along that right leg, trying to bring the belly over the thigh, and it's okay if it doesn't come over the thigh. Go to wherever your body feels comfort. And release the head, let it begin to nod down towards that right thigh. Maybe reaching a little longer along your leg. And see if you can soften a bit more into this pose. Relaxing any muscular contractions. That's not what we're trying to do here. While honoring your body and going to your edge, not trying to go to someone else's edge. Last couple of breaths. And the last breath here. Begin to walk your hands back up that leg. And once again, take your hands behind you in the soles of your feet to the mat or the floor. And begin to let your hips fall to one side and then towards the other. Your knees are going to go along, or rather your knees are going to fall to one side and then the other, and the hips will follow along. Coming to stillness in the center. And one last time, spreading those legs out into a straddle. Maybe you notice a little more openness after working on some dragonfly twists, and maybe you don't, and both are fine. This time we're going to be coming straight out in front of us. So start in an upright position. Maybe put a smile on your face. And yes, you've seen this pose in many of the videos in October 2022 because it's working on the lung meridian and the large intestines. And I invite you, if you'd like, to bring your hands straight out in front of your torso. Not coming into the deepest expression of your pose, your dragonfly, immediately. We won't be here for too long. And perhaps you walk your hands out a little bit more in front of you, and perhaps you are already straight down on the floor, and good for you. I'm a bit more limited in that way in this pose. What are you reaching for? What Dharma is out there for you? What purpose? And Dharma doesn't have to be one Dharma your entire life. It can change. It can change multiple times. So sometimes as we change the season of our life, our Dharma may change. In fact, it most likely will. And let your head be very heavy as we take our last few breaths here. And last breath. And begin to walk your hands back towards your body. And once again, take your feet to your mat or the floor, wherever they reach. Take your hands behind you. Let your knees drop over to one side, maybe leaning back. Just let it be nice and slow, and it should feel very nice. Trying to get, our chi, as I call it, our energy can get very stagnant with some of these longer holds. And so sometimes we need a little bit of movement to get that chi to flow again. And if you are sitting up on a blanket or a bolster, you can come off of that now, but hold on to the bolster if you have one. And raise yourself up. Begin to sit on that bolster. If you do not have a bolster, never fear. You can take a block and do the same thing. If you don't have a block, you can take a bunch of rolled blankets, or perhaps a book. Or perhaps a book with a couple blankets on top of it so it's comfortable for you. And in fact, if you use a block, you may also want a blanket on top of it. And then begin to come down onto your elbows, stretching your legs straight out, coming down onto your back. So the bolster is horizontally across your mat and roughly between the bottom of your rib cage and your sit bones. Now let go of the past to move forward. That's another one of the poses that you might feel a little low back discomfort. If you don't have low back problems, that's fine. If you feel pain, that is not fine. In which case, I would suggest that you take the soles of your feet to the mat and bend your knees, and that will take a lot of the pressure off of your low back. One of the beauties of Yin Yoga is that it helps us to get comfortable with being discomfortable, and that's important. It's one of the things we can take off of our mat and into our lives. So this pose, pontoon pose, is really helping us to open through the lungs, through the chest area, through the heart. And all the meridians, by the way, they're all intertwined. You can't really isolate them. But we need to open up our heart and to be vulnerable. So this pose may also make you feel very vulnerable. And that's okay. We need those things to reach for our next chapter, to release one dharma and move on to the next dharma. To find ourselves, as the poem says. The last few breaths here. And the last breath. On your next inhale, begin to bend one leg, bring the foot to the mat, bend the other leg, and bring the sole of the foot to the mat. And go ahead and lift your hips and begin to maneuver your bolster. This is never very graceful. Down towards your knees. But before we move into our final pose, Shavasana, first we're just going to bring our knees into our chest. Just give that low back a little relief. And as you're ready, begin to stretch one leg out and then the other, perhaps with a bolster under your knees, which will once again help make your low back be happier. And we are moving into Shavasana. And I am going to sit up while I hold space for you. And I just want to read the last few lines from the poem I read at the beginning of this practice. Aging isn't about lost youth. Remember, not everyone gets the chance to grow older. It truly is a privilege denied to many. No, aging isn't about lost youth. It's about finding who you were meant to be all along. And once you find who you're meant to be, then you can move forward with your life. So just relax in stillness until you hear my voice again. Let your breath begin to deepen. And do a very quick scan of your body, noticing anywhere you might still be holding on to some tension. See if you can soften there, let that go. Back to our theme for October. And take any small, gentle movements you need right now. Nodding the head yes and no, or shaking it back and forth, turning it back and forth rather. Wiggling toes and fingers, maybe circling wrists and ankles. Perhaps doing a few little pelvic tilts to get a little sensation back into the pelvis and the low back. On your next inhale, reach up for the sky. Reach your hands away from your feet, big long stretch, reaching up for divine knowledge. And then slowly begin to roll over to either side. Bottom arm reaches across your mat, cradling your head. Eyes are still closed if you started that way. And just take a few deep breaths here. Thanking yourself for showing up for yourself today, for being in stillness for much of this practice, perhaps for finding something in that stillness. And slowly, still keeping your eyes closed, begin to take your torso upright, coming into an easy seated position when you're ready. Or take more time in Shavasana if that feels right for you. I would love for you to do that. On your next inhale, take the palms of your hands together in front of your heart, bringing together body, mind, spirit, thanking yourself for giving yourself the gift of stillness, as I thank myself for taking this time for myself, and also have so much gratitude for each and every one of you who've practiced with me, who've liked a video, chosen to spend their precious time with me. And slowly begin to blink your eyes open, bowing your head over your hands, taking in the rest of your mat, the rest of your floor, and slowly raising your head with a smile on your face, I hope. I hope you feel the sense of calm and peace that I feel right now. Or maybe this has stirred up some emotions in you and it may be a little uncomfortable. If that's the case, I suggest journaling about that. But you have to know where you've been so you can know how to move forward. You have to open up. You have to let go of things in order to make space for even more, even better. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day or the evening, depending on when you're practicing. May you be happy. May you be safe. And may you be radiant.